Louis Cardinals baseball. And this afternoon from Roger Dean Stadium in Jupiter, Florida, it's Spring Training 2020 as the St. Louis Cardinals take on the New York Mets. And welcome to Cardinals baseball. Welcome to Spring Training. That's the Cardinals Hall of Famer, Jim Edmonds. I'm Dan McLaughlin. We're back at it again. It's an exciting time of year.
It is. It's mostly exciting for the fans, but the players are excited. But, you know, it's a chance for all these people to see what this team's going to be all about this year.
Jack Flaherty gets the call today. Incredible second half last year.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the top pitchers in the second half, or if not the top. And it's going to be interesting because I think that is going to help him this year be more comfortable, be more under control. And now it looks like he might be the ace of the staff. And so he's just going to get his work and do his job. And don't look for too many results right away, but just being in shape and ready to go opening day.
It's a battle in left field. Lane Thomas, Tyler O'Neill. Should be fun.
Yeah, it should be fun. And there's some young guys right behind them, too.
Yeah.
So you never know. And healthy is going to be the key for all of those guys, and center field and right field. So there's going to be plenty of spots open, and it'll be fun to watch these two young guys battle because they both can play.
We are ready to go. Marcus Stroman makes the start today for the New York Mets. Jack Flaherty for the St. Louis Cardinals. It's the Cardinals. It's the Mets. Baseball is back. First pitch is coming up. A season ago, the St. Louis Cardinals returned to the top of the NL Central. A 91-win campaign gave the Redbirds their 11th division title in the past 25 years. Now, it's 2020 and a new journey that is a Major League Baseball season. The reigning manager of the year, Mike Shildt. The Gold Glove winner at second base, Colton Wong. What a play, Colton Wong! A 30-home-run hitter in Paul DeYoung. He knocked out the M in Big Mac Land. And year two of the Paul Goldschmidt era, wearing the birds on the back. He's done it! 3 home runs! A new season is here. It's time for Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest. The defending National League Central champion St. Louis Cardinals entering their 129th season of play in the National League and begin their 23rd spring training here in Jupiter, Florida at Roger Dean Stadium. With Jim Edmonds, the Cardinals Hall of Famer, I'm Dan McLaughlin. And he has already been announced as the Cardinals opening day starter earlier today by Mike Shildt. And he gets the opener here in spring, and that's Jack Flaherty.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him mature this spring training, because now that he has that comfort of something to be said about being named the starter in the outfielder, the inside the infielder on the mound, and now you just go with everything you can do in the way you work, your work ethic, and get ready for that first day. So none of this really counts other than you're just getting ready for opening day.
The Cardinals went 91-71 last year. Terrific second half put together by Mike Shildt and his staff. That staff returns for Mike. And the Cardinals rattled off their 11th division title in the past 25 years. And there are a ton of guys, Jimmy, in camp. There are over 70 players this year in camp.
Yeah, I saw that. That's unusual, but you know what? That's good. That's something that I like to see as a veteran player. The young guys coming up, getting a little bit of taste of what it's like, and then knowing what it's like when you get here. That's why these teams have been so good for so long, because these guys now come up during the season, and all of a sudden they're familiar with everything. The guys know each other, and there's no kind of not as much nerves, and kind of just all familiar.
We were waiting for one of the doors in the outfield down the right field line to be closed. It is, and away we go as Ahmed Rosario will lead it off for the New York Mets. An outstanding season defensively, really improved, and then his second half in the offensive rankings skyrocketed. And the first pitch of spring training is a strike, and baseball is back.
That doesn't shock you, does it? Woo. First pitch strike.
That's something that Jack did so well, especially in that historic second half that he put together.
Yeah, I think he struggled a little bit early on, just making pitches when he was behind in the count.
It's knocked down at first by Rangel Ravelo. Stays with it and makes the play.
It's a great play by Raffy right there. He's literally just took one off the chest, or the wrist, as you can see him looking at his wrist, and that's going to leave a bruise. But day one, first ball in spring training, already getting in front of it and wearing it like a pro.
It's Tommy Edman at shortstop. No innings last year at short. 2,033 career minor league innings playing at that position. At 82 innings at AAA last season. And the Cardinals, the idea of this spring is to give him a lot of time at short to give DeYoung some breaks.
Well, he played a lot of shortstop last spring training. I think he did a really nice job, and it was kind of surprising that he didn't get a chance to play a whole lot in the big leagues, but he did a nice job. I think he did a nice job playing everywhere in spring training last year. Now we see, we got to see last year during the season how talented he is.
This is Brandon Nimmo, 3 lefties in the lineup that Flaherty will face today. And the idea with Jack this afternoon is whatever comes first, 2 innings or 35 pitches.
Yeah, pitch count is all. Just get him in shape, get him used to being out there on the mound, a little bit more aggressive during game speed, being out here against another team, and it's not pitching against your own team and not just throwing a bullpen. So this is just all part of it, getting ready for opening day.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Nimmo. Limited to just 69 games last year because of a neck injury. Has a big upside if he can stay healthy. And the 1-2 pitch is swung on and missed. Flaherty, his first strikeout of the spring. New Year, same old Jack, huh?
Yeah, nasty slider right there. Also, too, these hitters are not really ready, but that's just a good down action slider. And you know what? From a behind here, it doesn't look that great, but when you see that replay right there, that's why it's not being put in play.
Yeah. Here's J.D. Davis. Question for him and the Mets: where will he play? Could be blocked by the return of Yoenis Cespedes. Can play third base as well, but there's Jeff McNeil. He had a terrific season for the Mets a year ago. Gary DiSarcina, you know him quite well. He's on the Mets staff. He flew to Sacramento to work with Davis at third base this offseason. Robinson Cano, their everyday second baseman, so McNeil can play there, and then Davis will get a crack at third.
Well, you know, we've all seen it up close and personal as far as how many players have been used by the Cardinals over the last few years. And I think that's kind of a thing that people are starting to realize. It's going to take more than 25 guys to go out there and finish a year. So might as well get a lot of guys up here, see what they can do, and then kind of weed through it at the end of spring and just have even guys in AAA that are ready to go anytime. 1
ball, 1 strike. As the rain starts to fall a bit, get those pop-up showers here and there. We've had a very breezy day yesterday and again today here in Jupiter, Florida. This location of the ballpark is about 7 miles away from the ocean, and it is one of the toughest ballparks to hit in down here in Florida. You know that quite well.
Yep, the wind's always blowing in from the ocean, usually coming in from right field and blowing straight across. And some days it blows so hard it doesn't even help the righties either. So you get the ball up in the air, it's sometimes you don't get a lot of support.
2-2 the count. My partner had goosebumps as we began our telecast. You still get excited for spring training?
Yeah, and especially, you know, I love these kids, and Jack's one of my favorites, and just to see him go out there and throw that first pitch strike and get going again, it's incredible to watch. It turned from a player to a fan to almost like a father watching these kids now, spending so much time with them. So it's a lot of fun for me now just to watch.
Full count delivery. And a fly ball that'll tail to right field. That's where the wind is blowing, and it drops between Dexter Fowler and the center fielder today, Lane Thomas. That ball just took off going to right because of the wind.
That ball was hit right at the scoreboard, which would have been a tough play for Lane, and ended up all the way almost in right field, but more towards the right fielder than the center field. It's amazing how much that wind blew that ball into right field. See right there, you can even tell Lane looked like he had a chance to catch it. Then all of a sudden, he just had to give up.
And Dominic Smith. It's been around for a while, former top pick for the Mets. But he is blocked by one Pete Alonso, who led the major leagues with 53 home runs last year.
It's going to be a tough first base to crack.
You bet. Interesting to see Flaherty facing Dominic Smith, who idolized Kobe Bryant, just like Jack Flaherty. Of course, Kobe passed away. And for Dominic, he never met him, idolized him growing up in California, and he was called up in 2017. All of a sudden, a message pops up on his phone from one Kobe Bryant, a video message congratulating him. That news shook the sports world, not just basketball.
Oh, still gives me goosebumps thinking about that.
You knew Kobe a little bit, didn't you?
I didn't live too far away from where I lived for the last 10 years of my career, and spent many a days sitting there waiting for to-go food at the same restaurants all the time because we were both kind of the same person. We just would get food to go, take it home, and it's funny. We'd sit in there and talk and wait for our food, randomly just run into each other.
Nasty pitch there by Jack Flaherty.
I'm surprised Jack's throwing so many sliders.
This early?
Yeah. That's, I mean, maybe something he's working on. I don't know, but it's, you know, a lot of guys, especially veteran guys, will just go out and throw fastball changeup for the first outing or two and until they kind of perfect it. But I mean, I like it. It's kind of shocking that that he's choosing to throw so many.
Runner at second. That's J.D. Davis, and the 1-2 pitch by Flaherty. Held on to by Yadier Molina. A couple of strikeouts here in the top of the first. And leading things off for St. Louis, it'll be Dexter Fowler. New York Mets a season ago, they were 86-76, fourth in the National League East, 11 games back of Atlanta. Marcus Stroman getting the call today. The 28-year-old from Medford, New York, grew up a Mets fan. Was called up and made his major league debut for the Toronto Blue Jays in 2014. And last season traded to the Mets. 10-13 last year, started 32 games and a 3.22 ERA with 159 strikeouts from Marcus Stroman.
Must be a dream come true. Coming to play for the Mets and put on that uniform.
A shift is on, and the first batter of the season, Dexter Fowler, looks at a strike, and many of the regulars are in the lineup for Mike Schilt. Fowler, Carpenter, Goldie. He'll serve as the DH. Molina, O'Neill, Edman, Brad Miller, Ravello, and Lane Thomas. And the 0-1 pitch. It was this time last spring that we were playing golf with Dexter Fowler and talking about trying to bounce back after what was really a tough year physically, mentally, emotionally, and he did for the most part.
Yeah, I think he had a good year pretty much on the field, better, and then in the clubhouse. I think he stepped it up and did a really nice job of kind of taking over a little bit more leadership. Much more positive, obviously. It was a little easier for him to be positive when he was performing a little bit better, and talked about how much struggling in front of the home fans hurt him and it made him uneasy, and he was going to do everything he could to turn it around.
One of the question marks with this offense, and that probably is the #1 question mark with the Cardinals this spring, but diving into that is who bats leadoff for St. Louis. Wong, Carpenter, Edman, Fowler, the 2-2.
Well, I mean, you really don't have your prototypical home run hitter in this lineup right now, so I think anything can work. I mean, you get Fowler. The only thing about Fowler is he doesn't run much anymore. You got Carp, who can be a great contact hitter in the second hole. You also have Tommy Edman that can move the ball around.
In foul territory, and the catch is made.
Can switch hit. Saw him have some really huge hits last year when he came up. You got Yadi, you got Paul. I mean, you really could play with this lineup a lot and kind of stretch it, right? Because you've got so many different types of hitters, and I think that's kind of part of having a good team, is having athletes and having a way that you can move people around all the time and put different guys in different positions and keep guys in the lineup, but, you know, keeping them fresh.
Clearly a tough 2019 for Matt Carpenter. Shift is on. Carpenter is coming to this camp much stronger, noticeably bigger, and they felt that that was part of the issue last year, is that he was so lean, and then as the season goes on, you even get thinner, and
when you get weak as a hitter, you start to try to do too much. And we had a couple conversations about how he was having trouble driving the ball out to left center field. The ball wasn't flying. Clearly he wasn't feeling it, so you could see his swing start to be pull heavy. He's a pull hitter anyways, but I think he got really wrapped up in that because he knew left center field wasn't any good for him. And so that starts to play with your head too, and then you start trying to hook balls even more so than just being a pull hitter, which opened up a lot of holes in your swing.
It's Jeff Albert there on the left, the Cardinals hitting coach, year 2 for him. Carpenter in batting practice was taking everything to left field. Everything. Like that.
But that's what you got to do, especially early. You can't really leave yourself open to just trying to yank balls out of the ballpark. You got to hit. He's going to get his home runs.
That's a good sign already, right there.
He tried to stay inside that ball, which I like. Watch his hands. Watch his hands in front of the ball, in front of the bat. It just stays with it. And this ball is not outside. This ball's middle in. And that's just a good sign of him making an adjustment right there. That's really good to see.
I saw him in 3 different rounds, Jimmy, pull one ball to right field. Everything else was to left.
And what that does is just keeps reiterating the fact that that's what you're working on. You can always go back to hitting home runs and yanking balls, but it takes a lot of stubbornness to work on something, and then when the stands are full and people want to see home runs, staying with that program. It takes a little bit more mental toughness than you think.
There's Paul Goldschmidt. He's the designated hitter in the Cardinal lineup today, and that is by design because of a sore elbow. So he's dealing with that. They don't think, though, it's going to be problematic as we edge closer towards opening day, but not taking any chances. So Goldschmidt is the DH this afternoon.
Well, and the fact that you can use the DH, there's no reason for Jack to be hitting right now. I think that's just, you talk to the other team. The manager's okay with it. The league's okay with it. You take a DH out there, you get a guy like Paul a couple of bats and get him out. Take a little pressure off Jack early in the season. You don't really want to see the pitcher swinging the bat. They get excited. They want to hit home runs. So we'll just let that happen during the season.
Let it die down, right?
Yeah, take it easy.
It'll be the probably 13th or 14th of March that the pitchers will start to hit, according to Mike Schilt.
I like it. I think it's a great move.
Then the 3-batter minimum, which is also a new rule, that won't be instituted in these games until the 12th. So interchangeable parts, if you will, from your bullpen guys. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Carpenter, the runner at first base, and the next 2, Goldschmidt. And he's down. First strikeout for Marcus Stroman.
That's a little slider right there.
He came up in 2004, and we're in 2020, and Yadier Molina is still behind the plate.
Still going strong.
Incredible.
Watch him throw the ball down to second base in between innings, and it's just a missile. Still has that arm.
Owner of 9 Gold Gloves. You know he'd love to get that 10th.
That's a big one, too.
And a breaking pitch taken low and outside.
A little different stance right now for him. Feeling a little strong.
It was obvious this last week as they had live batting practice. The pitchers are ahead of the hitters.
Yeah, always.
Guys are breaking off sliders and curveballs, and hitters are saying, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I would take everything that's spun and just try to really put a fastball in play. And I think when you're a veteran at this point in spring training, you're really just trying to see pitches and time it. And especially with the breaking ball, it's kind of the last thing. Pulling the ball and the breaking ball are the last 2 things that kind of click for a hitter. And when you start to see that happening, you know you're ready.
2 strikes on Yadier Molina.
Especially like a fastball right there, 92 miles an hour. It looks like it's 100 right now. It's just not used to
everything's fast,
yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah, because you're used to having batting practice and indoors and guys throwing 50 miles an hour from 40 feet. And all of a sudden 92 is coming at you, and you cannot duplicate that in any kind of off-field situation.
Late swing and a strikeout of Yadier Molina. 2 in the inning for Marcus Stroman. Jack Flaherty back to work when we come back. Well, it was a tradition the Cardinals started many, many years ago. Pat Henkin, Darryl Kyle, Matty Moe. It was just a handful of the starters. They watch each other warm up, watch their bullpens, and now it's grown to this.
Yeah, it has. And then also, too, I think a lot of guys, not only are they watching and learning and paying attention to the guy who is now the ace, You also don't want to walk past as he's working out of respect. So it's kind of a little bit of both. But yeah, when I was in uniform, I'd find myself standing down there too watching, because it's always interesting to learn from other people. And that was a tradition that started back in the 2000s, where those guys would literally come to the ballpark early on a regular game day and go out there at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 2:30, and watch each guy throw his bullpen and learn. And then they would talk about how things happened and why the things happened. And I thought it was the start of what this organization has turned into, which is a big family and a lot of togetherness.
Eduardo Nunez, a grounder to Matt Carpenter, and there's one away. Second inning now for Jack Flaherty. Scheduled to pitch today, Brett Cecil, KK Kim, Kaminsky is on deck, Dakota Hudson as well. And if you look down at that bullpen, by the way, you're not going to run out of pitching.
Jack's got 18 pitches, so maybe he can get through this inning. Like, he threw a lot of pitches last inning, and it only ended up at 16 or 17, so not so bad.
Luis Guillaume hit .246, 1 home run last year. I saw that graphic a few moments ago about the second half of Jack Flaherty. And I asked him specifically about that, the .91 ERA. And he said, well, you try to duplicate it if you can, clearly. He said, but the idea was getting ahead and finishing batters off aggressively and doing it early in counts, not messing around. Little flare out to left, and it sinks in for a base hit in front of Tyler O'Neill.
Well, I think he got on a roll, and I think what the best thing about a guy like Jack Flaherty is, if you watch him work out and do his things, he's probably one of the, I always watch guys what they do during the season, and most of the guys taper off. Jack didn't taper off, and I think I don't know if it's possible, but he either stayed where he was at or even got a little bit stronger, and then more knowledge and then more confidence, and then all of a sudden it was like out there one day, 7 innings, no runs. You know, we saw it just kind of just build and build and build, and they just put together some kind of second half.
Ryan Cordell at the plate. It was a second half of the ages. Compare it to the great Bob Gibson, his second half of 1968. And you see what he did. And then you look at 5 more starts, though, for Flaherty at .93.
Yeah, I mean, look at the opponent's average, too. I mean, it's just, obviously a different era, but Jack found something, and he stayed with it, and I think he learned a lot in the first half, and dominant.
Finished the year 2.75, the ERA. That was 6th best in all of baseball. 4th in the National League behind Ryu, DeGrom, who won the Cy Young for the Mets, Soroka, and then Jack Flaherty.
And you got to remember also he went through a long period of time with the death of a good friend, which couldn't have been easy.
Nope. To
pitch through and not get distracted.
It was the death of Tyler Skaggs, and then it was the start on the eve of, and that's when he was in Seattle with the death of Tyler Skaggs, and they gave him the option if he did not want to pitch, and he said, absolutely not, I'm going to pitch in his memory. And then on the eve before the All-Star break in San Francisco, almost a no-hitter, game that he eventually lost, but was dominant from that day forward. And a check on the runner at first with 1 down.
Just remember being in that locker room in Seattle and seeing how vulnerable these athletes are, how much that we're kind of sequestered away from people. It's hard to get to them, but they're real people. And when you see a guy like him hunched over with tears in his eyes after a pretty good start, knowing that real life is still going on, it's just incredible to watch, because people don't understand that these guys are human and real people, and life affects them the same way it affects everyone else. And you know, it's hard to watch some days, and these guys are playing through a lot of pain and a lot of off the field problems.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Cordell with a runner at first base. It's a 27-year-old that was drafted in the 11th round by Texas. Now with the Mets, and now heading back to the bench. 3rd strikeout for Jack Flaherty.
More of a breaking ball right there. He doesn't throw a whole lot. Yeah, he threw it a couple times in warm-ups, and you definitely see he's working on some off-speed today.
Rene Rivera, he's played in 8 different organizations, and this his 3rd go-around with the New York Mets. Wilson Ramos will be the primary catcher. He was drafted 49th overall all the way back in 2001 as a 17-year-old by Seattle. 8 different organizations, 3 times with the Mets. You got talent, and you're probably well-liked, too.
Yep.
So 2 outs, a runner at first, and the 0-1 by Flaherty. Just missed. Do have a 4-man crew, the umpiring crew here at the ballpark. Many times spring training, it's only 3, but today we have 4.
They need practice, too.
Yes, they do. Got to get back into it, man.
Yeah, sometimes lots of practice.
Here's a 1-1.
Wow, good pitch.
He's missed on a couple of these, but not by much.
I'll tell you what, he's hitting Yachty's glove, which is pretty impressive, too, for your first start.
It's interesting, Jimmy. I mean, Jack Flaherty has got 2 years of Major League service, and yet when he is in the clubhouse or around the drills, you can just see the younger guys look at him like he's Adam Wainwright. He's Yadier Molina. He's got that presence about him.
You know what? A lot of what's really impressive about Jack is he's very quiet and very serious all the time. He's
Focused.
got that Chris Carpenter edge to him, where he's not messing around a whole lot. He's doing his job when it's supposed to do it, and then when he goes home, he can do his own thing. But he's very serious, very focused all the time, and I think that rubs off on a lot of players.
The 2-2. As it pertains to Kobe Bryant, we've heard so much in the last couple of weeks about his focus, his drive, and Jack was telling me about that. He would go back and look at Kobe, had a couple of documentaries done on him. He would look at what he would do between games and his preparation, his work ethic, and he said that is what I'm trying to do with my career in baseball.
Well, and that's exactly why, to be honest with you, behind the scenes, why he had a helicopter. He had a helicopter so he could get to work in traffic a lot faster, so he could spend more time working and then more time with his family.
Carpenter to his left hand makes the play.
Instead of spending hours a day in traffic driving back and forth living in LA, he wanted to spend more time on the field and then with his family on the court.
It's a big spring for this man, and he's a big man. That's Tyler O'Neill. He'll lead it off when we come back. St. Louis Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you in part by Budweiser. Wherever legendary MLB moments happen, Budweiser will be there. And by Shelter Insurance. For your auto, home, and life, we're your shield, we're your shelter. Breezy, cool afternoon here at the ballpark, but still beautiful. Glad that you're with us. Jim Edmonds, Dan McLaughlin, the kickoff of Spring Training 2020 of St. Louis Cardinals baseball. And a ball gets away as Dakota Hudson is warming up in the Cardinal bullpen. Tyler O'Neill leads it off. Then Tommy Edman, the switch hitter, and Brad Miller, a new face added to the organization. Tyler O'Neill, 60 games last year, popped 5 home runs. And with the departure of Marcell Ozuna, left field, a big question mark for the Cardinals, and it's a job that's wide open. We'll see who takes it.
Well, Tyler O'Neill is going to get his chance to be an everyday player in the big leagues, and it starts right now, and that's something he's been waiting for, and that's something you really got to grasp, where sometimes it slides right past you and then you never get another chance. So it's a big spring training and a big year for him.
The 1-1 pitch. He has come in a little bit slimmer. I mean, he's still thick, he's big, he's strong, one of the strongest people in the game, but by design dropped a little weight, slimmed down for flexibility. I was talking to John Mozeliak about O'Neill, and he said there's a different feeling to him as this camp started in terms of I'm here to try to make the club. Well, I'm going to make it. Now I want the starting job. Well, there's a difference between the two.
Yeah, and he had some.
O'Neill cranks one high. Out to deep left. At the wall, it is gone. Tyler O'Neill, first at bat this spring, takes one deep. Led the club in home runs last spring and starts out 2020 with a bang.
I think sometimes for a guy like Tyler O'Neill and a lot of younger players, and they get to a certain point that they get here and they think that what they've done to get here is going to work. And then when you get here, all of a sudden things aren't working the way you planned it. And then you have a hard time making adjustments. And so conversations have to be happening. Conversations happen, and then just different things in how to play the game. You see this, a really nice, smooth, short swing, and that's what he's going to be good with. He's quick. There's no extra leg kick. There's no nothing for that power, and if he can stay like that, he's going to show that he can play at this level. He's just going to have to be able to be well-rounded and play defense and make the right throws and do all the little things.
If this is a normal day, meaning you're in regular season play, that thing's hit.
Oh, that ball goes off the building.
Yeah. I mean, wind is blowing in hard from left field.
You know what's funny is it just kind of died down a little bit.
There's Brad Miller, and he'll be vying for a bench position for the St. Louis Cardinals. Infielder, can play a little bit of outfield as well, we understand. Jairo Munoz and Mundo Sosa all vying for playing time. Tommy Edman as well. Miller has been around for a while, and they signed him right at the beginning of spring training. One ball and one strike. And the other thing is he's a left-handed bat. Soft pop-up, caught on the infield, 2 away.
There's that breaking ball that talked about. The timing is a little funky, especially coming into a hitter, so into a righty or from a righty to a lefty, and that's the kind of stuff that when you start to get on top of those pitches, you know you're almost ready, and you can see how far behind some of the hitters are versus the pitchers.
Rangel Ravelo also vying for a position on the bench, and again this year in baseball you can carry 26 man, so
it's funny you say that he's battling for a position on the bench.
Yeah.
What you want to do is you want to get to the big leagues and then figure out a way to get in that lineup. But playing every now and then in the big leagues and making that money is a lot better than sometimes playing every day in AAA.
And Rangel was going to go overseas and play, and the Cardinals were going to give him that option to do that. And then all of a sudden the trade of Jose Martinez happened with Tampa Bay, so Ravelo knew he would have a good shot to make this team and stick with the club. Last year, 29 games, hit .205 for the Cardinals. Did have 2 home runs, including a monster home run in Colorado.
Well, this guy can really hit, and he's well liked in the clubhouse. And I think if he just gets a little playing time here and there, he will be a good hitter. He's a 300 hitter all the way through his career. They say he does nothing but hit, and so you could, you know, when you go up there and you play a day here and a day there, it's tough. But he gives you a good quality at bat every time he goes up to the plate, and that's all you can ask for.
3-1 the count with 2 outs and nobody on. We'll visit with Mike Schilt, the Cardinal manager, top half of the 3rd inning. And a 2-out walk from Rangel Ravelo. You opened my eyes to Lane Thomas a couple of years ago. Cardinals traded for him. We heard about his athleticism. There's Mike Schilt, who said he was really looking forward to seeing this battle with Lane Thomas and Tyler O'Neill, some of the others in the outfield. And Thomas, his upside, we saw it.
Well, yeah,
good player.
They compared him to Harrison Bader, just not as fast. And, you know, there was a guy back in the 2000s here in St. Louis that wasn't very fast either, that could play center field. And if he learns a lot and pays attention, he's going to be a really good player. He's got all the tools to be good. Just have to wait and see what happens. You see one guy with
you're talking about.
You see one guy with a lot of tools that doesn't learn because of the tools are so good, and another guy who's just above average that learns where to put himself. And you see the guy that's a little less equipped with the tools turn into a better player than some of the guys that are just so talented that they don't want to change their ways. And that's where you see a guy like Lane Thomas come up and eventually become a really good major league player.
He had 3 pinch hit home runs last year. Homered every 9.5 at bats. And he can run. He's got good speed. Hit .316 overall.
And he had a shoulder injury last year, if I'm not correct, in the minor leagues. We talked about him being a little afraid to dive in the outfield. Something he was trying to work on. But that's just, you know, that fear of being hurt sometimes really sets you back as far as playing a little bit more reckless. And not that it hurt him, but it definitely was in his mind.
Marcus Stroman wearing a new number this year. Was given number 7 last year. That was the number of Jose Reyes. Talked about how Stroman loved the Mets. He loved Reyes, and out of respect changed his number this year.
A lot of breaking balls by these guys. I'm really surprised to see so many sliders and breaking balls by both pitchers.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Lane Thomas. Dakota Hudson will come in for the 3rd after 2 scoreless innings, 3 strikeouts by Jack Flaherty. Pickoff, and Ravello back in safely. He'll be off with the next pitch on 3-2. The exit velocity, by the way, 115.3 off the bat of Tyler O'Neill. 115.
It's a good one.
So I'd say he got it.
And the wind held it up.
There goes Ravello. Ball put in play deep in the hole, and with the speed of Thomas, doesn't matter as Ravello will wind up at 3rd. Snuck under the glove of Guillerme. And the Cardinals have runners at the corners, and this may be it for Marcus Stroman. We'll see.
Yep.
As we head to a timeout, the first home run hit this spring for the Cardinals, and Tyler O'Neill. 115.3 off the bat. Trying to pick up that left field spot. Off to a good start. The 2020 promotional schedule features 8 bobblehead giveaway dates, including a Hall of Fame opening day car parade bobblehead, a Whitey Herzog fishing bobblehead, and more. Get tickets to 5 of these dates through the 5-game bobblehead pack, or choose your own as a single game ticket. On sale now at Cardinals.com. Steven Valines is the new pitcher. Runners at the corners. Second at bat for Dexter Fowler, who popped out his first time up. 2 down here in the bottom of the 2nd inning, and a 1-0 Cardinals lead on a Tyler O'Neill home run. Cardinals need to see production from the outfield. As a group, outfielders hit .244, .421 the slugging percentage. To put that in perspective, it was 2 points below the National League average for second baseman. So that's got to improve. Fowler pops it up again, left side, giving chase Nunez, and it's out of play. 0-2 the count. Inning started with an O'Neill home run. Edman bounced back to Marcus Stroman. Brad Miller, soft liner. Ravello walked. Thomas the base hit. And now 0-2 the count on Dexter Fowler. Big gap in right center field for Fowler. Year 4 with St. Louis. Runner goes from first. That's Lane Thomas, and he's gunned down. Strong throw by Rivera. Wow. Coming up, we'll visit with Mike Schilt. Dakota Hudson to the mound. Wonderful to be back with you across Cardinal Nation as spring training is here. 2020 from Roger Dean Stadium in Jupiter, Florida. With Jim Edmonds, I'm Dan McLaughlin, and we say a good afternoon to the Cardinals manager, Mike Schilt. Mike, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it.
How's camp going so far?
Going great. Very crisp.
What do you want to see out of the first couple of weeks here in camp? What intrigues you?
Just a little bit of everything, Dan. We got a big camp, which is healthy, got a good competition, but really just want to make sure guys are getting the right work on, getting the work in and getting good timing.
Well, not a bad start for your left fielder, Tyler O'Neill. That was an absolute bomb.
It was crushed.
How about Jack Flaherty? What did you see from him?
Jack, early returns were favorable there. Good tempo and command of what he was doing. A lot of quality pitches down. Just a lot of good stuff.
And a final question for you, Mike. Expectations for your club after you winning the...
I got to go, Dan. I apologize, man.
Oh.
I got to do some running game.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so when a guy gets on the base, now he's got to give the signs to the catcher. And that's coming directly from Mike. And then, so he's got to be, we had this situation last year in the middle of
he told me even in his office, he said, now if I get somebody on or somebody against
you
him, gotta go.
He's intense.
He is. I love it.
Love the long answers too. How you doing? Good.
He was intense today.
What do you think? Everything's great. Crisp.
It's all right.
Well, I'll tell you, no business, but baseball when it's going, and no monkey business during the games.
Just appreciate him doing that, though.
Yep. No, for sure.
Here's Ahmed Rosario to the base hit by Jake Hager. It's a minor league pickup in the offseason for the Mets. Rosario is now 24 years of age. Hudson will get the Shore out at first base.
And smart, you can hear everyone on the field yelling 1-1-1-1. Spring training. Take the easy out. Don't try to do too much. Throw the ball into the outfield and create chaos for the whole entire team.
Dakota Hudson, 16-game winner in his rookie campaign. And the first month or so was up and down, and then he figured it out. Jimmy made 32 starts and a solid year for Dakota Hudson.
You know what? It was really quiet, too. It was a really quiet year. He struggled a couple times, came back and pitched some really good games. He won some games that he really grinded through. We saw even in spring training last year, he got through some tough innings with that slider, got out of bases loaded jams, and he continued to do it. And I think he's one of these guys, just like Jack Flaherty last year. I think he just needs to keep learning and see what he's capable of doing, and then just going out there and applying it, and not being the young kid anymore, and just going out there and doing his job and learning from everyone, every start that he has.
Nimmo struck out his first time up, runner at second base. Dakota told me that he got with a personal coach, pitching coach, essentially, to work just on a refinement of his mechanics. Walks could be a problem at times for him. That's something he said, I got to be better at here, just command the strike zone.
You cannot walk players in the big leagues. You cannot. They take advantage. Well, you can just see, that's a perfect example of the chaos that goes on the field and in the dugout when one guy gets on. You can see right there Mike Schilt. As soon as the guy gets on first, now he's edgy, and everyone's in there. Now they got to start paying attention to what's happening a little bit more so than when there's nobody on, and it just kind of makes the game a little quicker on defense. And so can't give away free walks and put pressure on your team.
1-2 the count. Dakota Hudson issued 86 walks last year in 174 2/3 innings, and that led the league most walks. So that's one of the points of emphasis here for his camp, to improve upon that here in 2020. Time called. One-two, another ground ball, and it is backhanded nicely by Miller, and he makes the play.
Wow.
Miller is smooth, and he's a left-handed bat. That adds to his resume, but making plays like that will help too.
I mean, that's impressive right there. And you think the best part about Tommy Edman last year and a guy like Brad Miller is when you stick them out there, you're not losing anything. And you got to give your guys a day off, but yet they're capable of going out there and playing at the same level as everyone else. So that's really nice to see, and that's a great play.
Cardinals' point of emphasis last year was defense. They went from leading the majors in errors with 133 in 2018 to committing the fewest. They committed just 66 a year ago. So to put that in perspective, Jimmy, only the 1935 Chicago White Sox, who made the second fewest errors in 1 year after committing the most. It's incredible.
I'll tell you what, that guy right there is a stickler for playing the game the right way. And then you have Stubby Clapp, who is on top of these guys every pitch, every inning. And then Stubby will go in and watch video and see what happened on a play that was wrong and then teach it the next day.
Another ground ball. No surprise there with Dakota Hudson. Carpenter makes the play.
7 of 8.
And J.D. Davis is retired. Nifty play for the newcomer Brad Miller. St. Louis on top. Dexter Fowler will lead it off for St. Louis. He was left standing at the plate last inning after Lane Thomas was caught stealing for the third out. Then we'll see Matt Carpenter, who's already singled, and Paul Goldschmidt. And a new pitcher is in for New York, Steven Gonsalves, a left-hander. And Fowler on the first pitch hits it to third. Nunez comes up with it. And the pick by Dominic Smith, who's a very good glove man at first base.
I'm going to say that's more impressive at first than play at third. That's a tough hop right here. That's a nice play by a third baseman, although he looks like he trips. But watch this in-between hop right here. Long hop. It hits the grass. And actually the ball will slow down a little bit. So you got to be prepared. You know what I like about that play at first base? I don't know if you can show it again later. Watch how low he gets. He gets underneath the ball, so there's no going down for it. It only is coming up into your eyes, and you get that low to receive a throw. Watch how low he is right here. He knows that ball is going to stay down, and you can always reach up. It's harder to go down towards the ground, and that's just a nice play.
1 ball, 1 strike on Carpenter. Single to left field, first time. Pitches .217 against left-handed pitching a year ago.
And that is definitely not like him.
No. Overall, the numbers were the lowest of his career. I find him to be refreshing in the fact that he is honest about his season. I mean, he said, I was bad. I get it. It was tough on me. I apologize to fans, which he doesn't have to do. He's given everything he's got,
Yep.
but he's been very, very vocal and honest about what a tough year that was. High pop-up into shallow left center.
Drop.
And it may drop, and it will. Carpenter is 2 for 2.
Well, he popped that ball up, but he still tried to stay inside it. Which is, if you're going to work on something, this stuff doesn't count down here. Stay working on it. And you could just see that wind's going to play tricks on everyone, and it's actually blowing a little bit harder again. And I'll tell you what, my least favorite day in the world is a sunny day in Jupiter with the wind blowing to play defense. It is not fun.
There's Paul Goldschmidt, so Carpenter's day is through. Pinch runner is in. Justin Williams is the runner at first base, and that's a guy that, don't forget his name. He came on very strong. He was part of the Tommy Pham deal this time last year, dealing with a broken hand. And Williams finished up at Memphis. He's on the 40-man roster, and he could make some noise here too in that outfield battle.
I remember last year in spring training, he was sitting around and chomping at the bit, and he couldn't do anything. And very frustrated individual for a long time, and hopefully he'll get his chance to show what he can do.
Goldschmidt struck out his first time up. Seen 2 scoreless innings by Jack Flaherty and 1 by Dakota Hudson, who will go a second inning. KK Kim and Brett Cecil also scheduled to pitch 1 inning. And the 2-1 pitch now to Paul Goldschmidt. Instead, Justin Williams is picked off. And a balk, I believe, has been called, and it is. And Dominic Smith can't believe it. He's trying to get an explanation as to why.
Is that what he was doing? Yeah, and I said,
see what happens here. See the knee. Oh, so that's a good move, but he stepped straight to home plate.
Yep.
It's quick and easy, but you still have to make a little bit of a step towards first base, and
it's almost like that 45-degree line.
Yeah, you got to kind of come that way a little bit. It looked like he just stepped straight towards home.
Off-speed pitch, taken low, 3-1.
So I think the 2 things that an umpire looks at from a lefty picking over would, one, be the knee crossing the body, the knee crossing the back leg, and then the other one would be where the foot's going to land.
And ball 4 taken by Goldschmidt. Cardinals have received 2 walks in this game. The batter will be Yadier Molina. Tyler O'Neill on deck. Yadi struck out his first time up. Runners at first and second. A lot of room on the right side. You know, Yadi loves to go that way. Instead, he takes it to short. It's caught, and it's a double play. Hard hit, but right at Guillerme. Jack Flaherty, Dakota Hudson here today, and for Jack, it was 2 scoreless innings and 3 strikeouts.
3 strikeouts, a lot of breaking balls today. Even the big curveball, which he doesn't throw a lot. Good sneaky fastball up to 94, but just hit his spots. And what do you say about Dakota Hudson? Ground balls and strikeouts, and nice play there. But just doing what he does best, getting ground balls. Got to be pretty happy if you're that man right there.
Mike Maddox, the Cardinals pitching coach, back again. Dominic Smith, Eduardo Nunez, and Guillerme for the Mets. And the first pitch taken for a ball. Smith struck out swinging his first time up. Last season, really a tale of 2 halves for both Dakota Hudson and the Cardinals. Cardinals were 44 and 44. And then in the second half, just like they did the year before with Mike Schilt, got on fire, finished up 47 and 27 to .613 at winning percentage.
Couldn't tell if that was a sinker or a changeup right there. It was a pretty good pitch. Some down action. Tell you what, when he gets on top of that fastball, I think can really drop down quick, and that's why he gets so many ground balls. You just cannot hit the bottom of the baseball when he's on his game.
1-2 pitch. His delivery does seem to be very compact too.
Yeah, he looks a little bit more in control. I always felt that Dakota every now and then would lose it for an inning here and an inning there, and those walks would pile up, and that's what causes you to get out of the game early, not get your pitch count up, and that happens to most guys. It'd be interesting to see how much you learn from going through a whole year, because it's really tough to make adjustments on the fly. Because you could play during a season, and a month can go by, and you can think to yourself, wow, I just went out there and started 4 or 5 times and really didn't make one adjustment. If things are doing well, things are going well, but it's going to happen. The wheels are going to fall off once in a while. But I think you reflect back on your season and when you get home, and the more you can do it during the season, I think the better you'll be. And then that just takes a few years of playing.
Here's Eduardo Nunez. Rounded out to third, his first time up, 0 for 1. 32-year-old agreed to a minor league deal with the Mets. He's played 10 years in the big leagues. Yankees, Twins, Giants, Red Sox, an all-star back in 2016. And you may remember he homered in the 2018 World Series opener against the Dodgers. Mets have a chance to be really good this year. Cespedes comes back. They've got DeGrom at the top of their rotation, among others.
They had a team last year, too, and it's just got to, you know, it's paper is one thing, playing the game is something else.
Another ground ball. Miller. 2 away. Major League Baseball is always live with the MLB app. Follow the Cardinals with game tracking, video highlights, up to the moment stat standings, news, and more. Get the #1 app for live baseball. Download it today. Here's Guillerme, who singled to left. Two outs and nobody on. Cardinals were defined a year ago by very good defense, very good, and their pitching was outstanding. And you get the feeling just looking at their offense this year, minus Marcell Ozuna, and you don't know if others can step up and get to the next level, but it could be a lot of tight games.
Well, the emphasis has got to be on playing little baseball, running game, the moving guys over. Got to do a better job for sure of getting guys in from third base this year. That was atrocious last year, and that's just the facts. I mean, those are just wasted runs that we left out there day in and day out. I'm trying to do too much or just not being maybe being overly selective. But those are the things that when you improve on those, you don't need a big home run hitter. Guys are going to hit home runs, but if you can get guys on base and you can move them around and get guys in from second and third, you're going to be successful with defense and pitching. You don't have to have a lot of big home run hitters, and get guys out there that are plenty capable of hitting 20. Obviously, Tyler's capable of hitting 30 or 40. That's all you need. And then you just need some athletes to run around the bases and score runs.
3-2 on Guillorme. Had 6 different stints with the Mets last year. Made their club on opening day and then was up and down from Syracuse, their AAA affiliate, and the big league club.
A lot of traveling.
3-2 pitch. Another ground ball and another out for Dakota Hudson. Ground ball after ground ball with Dakota Hudson. Beautiful day here at Roger Dean Stadium in Jupiter, Florida. With Jim Edmonds, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Cardinals baseball is back. Tyler O'Neill homered first time up. He was measured at 115.3 miles per hour off the bat. Now, to put that in perspective, that would be tied for 5th highest by a Cardinal in the StatCast era, compared to the regular season, obviously. Ozuna had the hardest, then Holiday, 3 others. Ozuna, the other 2, then O'Neill. The hardest, 117.2. O'Neill's earlier today, 115.3. We knew we got it. We didn't realize it was that good.
Line drive. It didn't even get a chance in the wind to knock it down, and that wind wasn't blowing. That would have hit the Marlins locker room. He even knows the wind's blowing. He might have to run. It's not a good feeling. Square up a ball and know you might have to run it out for a double.
3-2 the count. O'Neill here, then Tommy Edman and Brad Miller. Gets underneath this one.
Just missed that.
And the catch is made. Now Tyler O'Neill is from Canada, and so is our good buddy Larry Walker, and he's headed to the Hall of Fame.
The love that I have for the Cardinals in just a year and a half that I was there, and not even that long, They open their hearts, and they're first-class organization. The fans are first class. I mean, like I said, we've talked about me getting a standing ovation after my strikeout and my first at bat, and to start off my Cardinal career with that ovation and that love, I tell you what, it's anybody would be out of their mind not to want to play for the Cardinals and put this uniform on.
It was from the fantasy camp. Larry was in uniform. It was a couple of days after the official announcement that he had been selected for Major League Baseball's Hall of Fame, and also congratulations to Ted Simmons. But your former teammate Larry Walker headed to the Hall.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. We talked about it a lot. I think one of the very few guys that had a really good job, a really solid 5-tool player, but I think his best tool was his sixth sense. He could really play the game with his mind as well as he could with the bat and the glove and the arm and the speed, and just unbelievable to play against and to play with.
MVP, 7 Gold Gloves, 5-time All-Star. Those are his rankings among right fielders. He was on the ballot till the very end, and now Larry Walker is a Hall of Famer.
Told you that one time in spring training. This is how competitive he is he struck out when I was with the Angels on a ball in the dirt, and our catcher just threw it down to third as Larry started walking back to the dugout, and as soon as the catcher threw the ball down to third to throw it around, he took off to first and was awarded the base because catcher didn't go after him. He never really made a beeline back to the dugout, and I'm sitting out in the center field going, you've got to be kidding me. It's spring training, like, settle down. What are you doing? Who wants to run the bases in spring training? Right. He's on base, first base. I'm like, that's incredible. That's one of the most incredible things I've ever seen, and that's what the competitor in him.
This is Brad
so
Miller.
So smart.
Incredibly good at deking base runners, too. That sixth sense that you mentioned. 2-2 pitch. Missed on the outside corner. Talking with Tyler O'Neill about it, he said, well, I had Larry as a hitting coach playing for Team Canada. And for me growing up, he was the guy that we idolized. And to see him get in is amazing for our country.
Yeah.
He gave us a reason not to go play hockey or some of the other sports that are prevalent in Canada. That's whacked out to center, and the catch is made.
So that wind just knocked that ball down.
We'll see K.K. Kim first time when we come back. St. Louis Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you in part by Ford, the official car and truck of the Cardinals, and by Great Southern Bank. Understanding what really matters. Some of the work being done on the backfields here at spring training in the complex, Roger Dean Stadium. It's our first look at K.K. Kim. Signed in the offseason by St. Louis, 2-year deal. 13 years in the KBO, which is the Korean baseball organization. 136 and 77. And the Cardinals are very excited about what they have in K.K. Kim. He's 6'2", 175 pounds, can work as a starter or out of the bullpen.
Kind of a right there.
Typical crossfire with a lefty. Also throws a splitter, which is rare for lefties.
It's also wearing Larry Walker's jersey number.
Yes, sir.
Perfect timing.
That's pulled foul, 1-2. Ryan Cordell at the plate. Struck out looking his first time up. 2 scoreless innings by Jack Flaherty, 2 by Dakota Hudson, and now K.K. Kim.
As a gust of wind just takes out the booth. And here comes the rain. That was a good one. Good catch.
Swing and a miss, and K.K. Kim has a strikeout in his Cardinal debut.
I don't think I've ever seen you catch a paper like that with your face.
Never really had it in my face like that.
Oh, my gosh. Holy wind.
Heading for cover.
For the 3-minute rain we're going to have.
Rene Rivera grounded out to third his first time up. The 1-0 pitch. K.K. Kim did pitch in the World Baseball Classic many years ago, and that's when the Cardinals first saw him. And he was on their radar. Matt Slater has been with the Cardinals organization, the front office, for a number of years. And Matt compiled a huge report to John Mozeliak and the rest of the team and said, I think this is a guy we ought to take a look at. And a lefty. And that's something that you like to see. I don't care who you are. You like to see it in your rotation potentially, especially when you talk about the Central Division with Votto and Rizzo and some of the others that are inside the division. You'll see 18, 19 times.
Yeah, and you're also talking about now a guy has to come out of the bullpen and face 3 hitters in a row. I like the fact that he can do both, start and bullpen. I like the 92-mile-an-hour fastball, and he got a good breaking ball too. That first breaking ball I threw was sharp.
Andrew Kisner is the new catcher, so a new battery for St. Louis currently.
And some paperweights.
I need them.
You got a phone, a book, a water. Start using them all to hold down the papers.
2-2 the count, and the next pitch fooled the umpire.
Oops.
Cardinals haven't had a regular left-handed starting pitcher since Jaime Garcia.
Seems like that's been forever.
That's yanked foul down the left field line. Last 3 full seasons, so 17, 18, and 19, they've had 14 total starts by a lefty. 11 by Austin Gomber, 2 by Genesis Cabrera last year, 1 by Marco Gonzalez. And the Cardinals have done a very good job containing left-handed batters. 242 average last year, 6th best in all of baseball. And the 3-2 pitch. .69-mile-an-hour curveball there from KK Kim.
Got it all.
And a 3-2 again. Missed in, and Kim a little bit frustrated with that.
That's a good 92-mile-an-hour fastball.
It's got to be something, too, and we saw it with Seung-Hwan Oh, where these hitters, you can see them on video, but they haven't seen them live, and
right.
there's something to that.
A little sneaky. Oh had that little short arm sneaky fastball, and it took the league a year to catch up to him. And then guys like this with just a little bit of and a little trickery too, with that slow curveball, breaking ball, split, and then he sneaks that fastball in there. If he has any deception at all, it's gonna be tough. There you go, another big breaking ball. 70 miles an hour. Nice, pretty compact delivery. The big long stride at the end, and then the ball.
Here's the 0-1 pitch. Now 0-2. Jake Hager at the plate. He singled back into third.
Got it all locked down over there?
Trying. A little breezy up here.
A little.
These last 2 days, and I've been here since day 1 at camp, have been the windiest, if you will. You know,
probably the worst for the weather.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it's been hot down here. Don't mean to rub it in for folks back home in the cool weather of St. Louis.
So you're saying this is the worst day for baseball, and it's 72 with a little bit of a breeze.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Sorry about it, St. Louis.
Mid-50s back home.
I was going to say, what do we got today? That's actually really good because it has been really cold.
And Mardi Gras, too, happening back in St. Louis.
I think it was yesterday or the day before I was at home, and it was like high 30s, but the wind was blowing. It was that wind down your neck cold. Oh, and you can't get away from it every time you step foot outside.
Swing and a miss, and second strikeout for Kim. We'll bring in Ahmed Rosario back to the top of the Mets lineup.
Good breaking ball, probably a slider right there. Nice and small, tight, and just down action at the end.
He had 190 innings last year, only 38 walks for KK Kim. There's a strike to Rosario. One of 3 shortstops in the majors to have at least 15 homers, 15 steals, 70 driven in, and 30 doubles. The other 2, Francisco Lindor and Trevor Story. They had a very good year. Hot shot to third and a forced play at second. Scoreless inning for KK Kim in his St. Louis debut. See the game like an MVP with Cardinals all-inclusive tickets. Choose from the UMB Champions Club, National Car Rental Center, and Proficient Red Jacket Club, and more. All-inclusive tickets include food and drinks, plus a great view of the game. Get yours at cardinals.com/all-inclusive. It's 1-0. Cardinals have the lead with a Tyler O'Neill home run. Pedro Payano, right-handed pitcher, is the new pitcher for the Mets. And this is Rangel Ravello. Ravello walked his first time up. Then we'll see Lane Thomas and Dexter Fowler. This was supposed to be the year that Carlos Beltran would lead the New York Mets. Announced as their manager and then gets caught up in the cheating scandal, if you will, for the Houston Astros. So mutual parting of the ways with the Mets. If you knew what was coming, what would you have hit?
Well, I did know it was coming a lot.
That's because, though, you detected it.
But
not
yeah,
by
if
video.
I really knew it was coming, I don't know. I think, you know, here. Oh, I still think, like, I mean, I'm not going to say that what they did was right or whatever, but I still think that it definitely is an advantage. But you're still having to hit a round ball with a round bat, and you still have to depend on luck and the pitcher's stuff. But you definitely can take pitches. You definitely can sit back and wait for pitches, and it does give you a better chance. And to the extent to be honest with you, so much behind the scenes going on since the day I played, all the way through, as far as I can remember, to all the way through to now. It doesn't surprise me. It doesn't even really resonate with me, because it's just another form of trying to make trying to take advantage of the situation. But I don't know. I don't really know what to make of it, because I haven't, to be honest with you, haven't really paid that much attention to it, because really didn't surprise me. It really didn't. And I don't even know what extent they really came up with that they were getting down to it. I've heard so many different stories, but you know, we've all seen, and now that they've banned smartwatches in the dugout and all the different things, and they've got a 5-second delay on the TVs as of last year in the locker room. So I mean, there's a lot going on to prevent that, but there's a lot of ways that you can get by it too.
It's Nolan Gorman at a base hit into center.
I mean, I don't know what your take on it. You live and die and breathe all of this stuff, and you know my take on it. I just don't pay attention to it until spring training rolls around. So
I get it. I think it's...
I mean, like I said, I played the game, so nothing surprises me anymore. But I know I'm not saying that to just kind of downplay it, but to what extent was it? Was it the whole team? Was it a few players? I don't really know the details.
Well, how in-depth it is alarming.
Yeah.
You know, from the top on down. That's what's alarming. And A.J. Hinch talked about smashing a couple of TVs and saying stop, and it wasn't stopped. And you look at the splits, home and road, with certain players, clearly there's an advantage, and it's cheating.
Yeah, no doubt. And I firmly believe that that's been going on forever. As far as there's some places we've been where the pitchers swear that there's cameras moving and lights blinking and stuff in the outfield.
Sure.
And that's been going on for years. You know, we've had first base coaches, I've heard them when I'm at first yelling in certain pitches, or when a guy moves inside and outside. You know, I know that still to this day that the third base and the first base coach watch the signs from the catcher, and they can give signals or things and relay. I mean, that's just part of the game. That stuff's not cheating. But getting stuff from inside the dugout because of the TV, I guess I would go with that would be definitely cheating. And what they did is probably the best of the best at cheating.
Mm-hmm. Just the lengths that they went to do it. This is Justin Williams, a little flare out to left, and that'll be caught. Runners back to the bags at second and first, and we'll see Austin Dean for the first time this spring.
But to be honest with you, and I know it finally came out in the paper, so I can say it now, but I know that Eduardo Perez was in the running for the Mets job. And I was surprised when I heard that Beltran stepped down, because I didn't really pay attention to enough of it to know that he was kind of in the middle of it. So I know when Carlos played that he was really good at picking up pitches from the pitcher and did the same kind of stuff I did. I know that he played with a bunch of guys at old school that gave, signs from second, and that's typical baseball. I mean, if you're stupid enough to put the wrong sign down, yeah. But yeah, like you said, a whole nother level.
Luis Rojas is the manager of the Mets. They're playing a split squad today, so he stayed at home. Hensley Mullins is the bench coach, and he's the manager today. Native of Curacao, he played in the majors as an outfielder, broke in the bigs with the Yankees. Bam Bam
Mullins. Curacao, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Home of Andrew Jones.
You got it. Another potential Hall of Famer. Nothing in 2 with 2 outs and 2 on. Fouled back by Austin Dean. Cardinals picked up Dean, and he's in familiar territory because he was with the Marlins.
It's true.
We saw plenty of Austin Dean in the last few springs. Play the outfield. They've actually been using him a little bit at first base. And with Goldschmidt dealing with the sore elbow, getting more time there.
Anywhere you can play during spring training to try to show off your talents.
0-2 pitch. Way inside. I think now you have to advance the story, though, Jimmy, and players this day and age more than ever go back to the video room to look at bats.
Oh, for sure.
What am I doing wrong? Or maybe to try to pick up something that they're doing or the opposition. How is that going to be curtailed this year in Major League Baseball? I think will be interesting.
Well, I think they made a really good adjustment. I think last year, I don't know if last year was the first year of it, but when you go up now in the video room, you can rewind your at-bats. But the only person in there that has live TV is the main video guy. Every other TV in there, there's probably 20 of them, if not more, and monitors are all on a 5-second delay. And so they've tried to prevent that. They must have known something was going on in the past. So and that's even in the clubhouse. They're all on delay. It's actually no fun to sit up there and watch the game anymore, because it's one of those things when you're sitting underneath and you're watching the guy come set on the mound, and all of a sudden the whole stands roars and the fireworks are going off, and you're like, somebody must have hit a homer.
Yeah.
And then here comes the pitch on TV.
2-2 the count here on Austin Dean.
But and just think about like what we deal with on an everyday basis too, is just the technology is just so much more now, and it's just everything is getting faster and smaller and just more ways of doing things. And like even for me, just kind of doing my other job and getting stuff from these websites of all of baseball and all around the league, and you could just see the categories of stats now, and like click on something, and you can click on a guy like Mike Trout and say, oh, best outfielder in baseball, but then you see these weaknesses and you're blown away by what he doesn't do well, and then why, what that's from, and then I'm talking defensively, of course, and there's things that he can make up for. Wow.
Dean called out on strikes on the 3-2. We played 5. St. Louis on top. We have seen Flaherty, we've seen Hudson, and we saw KK Kim in a solid first inning for KK.
And hopefully we're seeing the signs of what's to come for this Cardinal team. And right now we know the defense has been such improved, but here's the pitching again. And good first day so far. 5 innings in the books, and very solid pitching. The Mets only have 3 hits. And all 3 guys have done a really nice job so far today.
Here is Brett Cecil. did not pitch for St. Louis a year ago. Talked to Brett at length the other day, and he said, I'm as healthy as I maybe have ever been since I signed the contract with St. Louis. He's in year 4 of that deal. He lost a ton of weight spring training last year, and he said his arm and body just never felt in sync, never felt right. So we'll see what we got with Brett Cecil here in 2020. 2 balls and no strikes. Mike Maddox saying the other day, with all the different guys that they have in camp in the first 5 games, he'd like to hopefully, and there's some split squads mixed in there, get everybody some work as time is called. Brandon Nimmo at the plate. 2 balls and no strikes. Nimmo is struck out and grounded out, and it's 3-0. Brett Cecil's been around a long time, but I would imagine, Jimmy, even first day of spring training, he's got some nerves right now.
You have to. You haven't pitched as long as he's pitched. You've struggled. You know it. And you're just trying to be careful, right? You're trying to do, and that starts just like when you get into a big game and you start to nibble a little bit. You don't want to give up the big hit, and you fall behind. So I think it's one of those times you just have to get after it and let the chips fall where they fall. Like, go out there and show you can throw strikes again and get hitters out.
That one hit him, I believe. It was caught by Kisner, but it did nick the jersey of Nimmo, so he's hit by a pitch, and that's how we start play here in the 6th. I've said this all the time. I mean, these guys have great pride in what they do. No one wants to embarrass themselves, be embarrassed.
No,
and it's been a tough go for Brett Cecil. There's no other way to put it. Jake Magnum at the plate. And there's a strike. There's some good lefties that the Cardinals have. Genesis Cabrera, Andrew Miller, now KK Kim, Brett Cecil trying to break through with that group. It's going to be tough. Runner goes, swung on and missed. It was blocked by Kisner, and it's a stolen base. Be interesting this year, too, with the 26th man, how the Cardinals and other teams, how they want to use that.
Use that extra player, as a pitcher, as a position player.
You can carry 13 pitchers, so then do you carry an extra catcher, really?
Yeah, and I love the fact that with all the injuries now, you really do have to master the IL or the IR or the DL or whatever it is nowadays. But you really have to be able to play that game with the ups and downs and the way that the rules that they have, and guys can come up and down, and you almost can use another, it's like having the 26th player in the past, because you can always shuffle to get guys from AAA. We had a lot of guys going up and down. You'd see a guy come out and throw 3 innings one day, and then the next day he'd be down and a fresh arm would come up. And so that also is important too, and it gives you another option of how to shuffle players. And I think sometimes whoever's good at that as a manager has a huge advantage.
This is David Thompson. The strikeout for Brett Cecil. There's one away with a runner at second. September rosters will be different this year. Clubs can carry 28 players on the roster, as opposed to seeing 40 guys that would be called up or part of the team, but 28. 3 batter minimum, so guy comes into an inning, he's got to face 3 hitters.
That's what I think is going to be super interesting for me this year.
Also, teams cannot reinstate pitchers and two-way players from the injured list until 15 days have elapsed, and we had 10 before, so it's back to 15. Here's a 1-1. Popped up. Foul territory.
Look at that win.
And the catch is made. Runner tags up from second wisely, but a very fine play.
How about that wind right there? See if he could get a load of how far he had to run.
That's John Nagowski with that catch.
John was in camp last year. Up and down a little bit. Played some big league games.
Here's Blake Tiberi. Tying run at third base, but the emphasis is on the individual performance undoubtedly here. Brett Cecil.
Yeah, and we're about an inning away from seeing the bomb squads come out.
Yep.
And I'm having a feeling there'll be some runs scored. The B-bombers, as we used to call them.
What I find,
good,
you know,
good, healthy, angry young players trying to make an impact.
It's interesting too. You do see the difference between minor league baseball and Major League Baseball. It gets sloppy, and
it gets sloppy, and it gets the pitchers are around the plate at the big league level, and then the young hitters are up there hacking away, and all of a sudden, scoreboard starts to light up.
1 ball and 1 strike, and a ground ball. Nagowski's there. So is Cecil. St. Louis on top midway through. Cardinals have out hit the Mets 5-3. They lead 1-0 on a Tyler O'Neill home run. What's on tap? Presented by Budweiser. The Cardinals and Marlins, our second telecast of spring, and will come your way at noon on Monday on your home of Cardinals baseball, Blues hockey, Missouri Valley Conference basketball, Fox Sports Midwest. Great to be back with you and talking baseball. Andrew Kisner. Matt Wieters did resign, and Kisner could start at AAA or be that third catcher as he laces one to short for the first out.
Be interesting to see what they do with him, because he still needs to play and learn, but yet you can learn a lot up here too with Yachty, but you don't want him to get stale. Want a guy like that to keep hitting, keep playing. Here's my guy, Danny.
Number 1 prospect in the Cardinals organization, Dylan Carlson. Switch hitter, can play all 3 outfield spots. I find it fascinating. If he has a terrific camp, would the Cardinals be tempted to just break north with Dylan Carlson in their lineup?
I'd be interested to see the same thing too, but what I've seen and what I've been around and even in the history of the game, I see like this is going to be one of those guys they're going to send back down, and they're going to keep him going in AAA unless there's something just random happens. And we're going to see him at some point during this season. He's not going to be Albert Pujols, and he's not going to just all of a sudden pop up and be like, we can't keep this guy off the team. But I think if he goes back down this year and probably to AAA and keeps doing what he's doing, we're going to see him soon in the big leagues, the Cardinals.
He's only played 18 games above AA, and that was at the end of last season.
Last year, yep.
With Memphis. Number 1 rated prospect in the organization, number 10 overall across Major League Baseball. It's the highest rated position player in the minor leagues for the Cardinals since the late Oscar Taveras.
Wow.
He was number 1 in 2014. 26 home runs, stole 20 bags in 2019.
He's got a good arm. He's a big kid. And he got a little bit of a swing, as you see.
Takes it the other way, and a wide turn around first base. He'll stop there. Single for Dylan Carlson. It's a good kid, too.
Well, and he's a great kid. And you know what you like to see about a kid? Look how big he is, right? You know he's going to hit home runs. You know he's going to drive the ball. What's the adjustment he makes here with 2 strikes? Just kind of doesn't try to do too much. Knows he's beat and just lets go of the bat and just tries to put the ball in play. And that's what you want to see in your young players. You learn that at a young age. That never goes away.
Here's Jairo Munoz. Munoz to center field. And that's caught. Carlson back to the bag at first. And there's 2 away. The batter will be Max Schrock. Max Schrock was part, you may remember, part of the Steven Piscotty deal. And it was he and Munoz that came to St. Louis. And the talk was about Max Schrock, not so much Munoz. And things have turned out a little different.
Well, you know what? This guy's a good player, too. And he played great in spring training last year and opened up a lot of eyes.
Could have been had by any team off the 40-man roster in the Rule 5 and was not picked up. So back with St. Louis. Can play all over the infield.
He's another one of those guys. I think he's just gets a bad rap for his size. And like what we talked about with Tommy Edman. And then you give him a chance to play at the big league level and look what he does. I mean, Max had a good spring training last year and I think he can play. Just whether if someone's going to give him a chance or if there's a position open for him.
One ball and 1 strike. He's now 25 years old. Memphis, the last 2 years, played in 85 games last season, hit .275. Play second, third, short, left field a little bit. And he grounds out to first, and we are through 6 innings of play. 7th inning rolls in, game 1 of the season. Spring training here on Fox Sports. Start a 2-year subscription to Cardinals Magazine. Take home the exclusive Yadier Molina bobblehead, available just for subscribers, or register for 1 year. Receive 2 tickets to a home game. Don't wait. Sign up now. 345-9000 or cardinals.com/publications. Evan Krasinski is the new pitcher, left-hander. It was just a couple of years ago. He was part of the futures game. Went to the Arizona Fall League at a 1.99 ERA. And then last year, it's amazing how 12 months can change how you look at a pitcher or a player, but gave up a lot of home runs. 21 home runs, 4th most allowed by any hurler in the Cardinals system. And the Cardinals, and you think about left-handed pitching now in the minor leagues. This is a big year for him because Zach Thompson was the #1 selection. He's the part, Jimmy. He's going to make that jump. And then Matthew Libator, they like him, who was picked up in the deal with Tampa Bay. So this is a big year for Krasinski. Last season to earn a 40-man spot before he becomes Rule 5 eligible. There's John Mozeliak, the president of baseball operations for the club. 2 balls and no strikes. Eduardo Fermin is the batter. Shortstop now took over for Ahmed Rosario. 3-0 the count. And 4 straight and a walk. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the St. Louis Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. I think by now I'd have that down, and I still have to read it.
Well, it's not like the shortest little
I get
statement.
in panic mode when I can't find the copy for that one. Good to be back with you, ball game.
This game is private telecast of the Cardinals. That's what you would say, and be done with it.
Yeah, don't tape it and transmit it.
Yeah,
and
it's fine.
all that stuff.
Don't do any of that stuff. Don't do anything illegal.
There you go.
It's good to be back. It's good to be out of the cold. Except for how it wasn't there very often, but it was definitely good to be down here in Florida. Been coming to this ballpark now for 20 years.
Yep.
Maybe 21.
Who are you most excited to watch this spring?
You.
Well, I appreciate that, Jimmy.
Learn a lot from you. You know what? Just kind of the same stuff. I mean, I want to see Dylan Carlson make the jump. I want to see some of the young pitchers like Jack Flaherty and see how they respond to basically now they're kind of developed into a major league star. Be interesting to watch the battle for left field. Just to watch the veterans go about leading, all that stuff. You know, you got Kistner, you got all the young players, you got guys that were hurt last year. It just, every year is just such a wide open tryout. I just think it's interesting. I love watching the managers and the coaches kind of have to make decisions and see how they're going to get guys innings. There's a lot of stuff for me.
I find it fascinating how Mike Schilt and Ali Marmol run this camp. I mean, it is efficient.
Yep.
There's no wasted time. Guys are always moving, no standing around, and then they're out. They want them out. They don't want them here all day.
Another Nolan Gorman. But yeah, it's very efficient, very professional, time-oriented. He does a good job. They really do. And I'll tell you what, Ollie does an amazing job, and he gets no recognition for what he does, but he runs the clock. He is the schedule maker, and he's the boss when it comes to that. Once Mike gives him some ideas, Ollie puts it together, and they go with it.
And he will manage in the big leagues sooner rather than later. I believe that.
I like his baseball savvy and his want to. He wants everyone to be on the same page. He wants everyone to do the right thing, and he's the first one to tell you. I'm surprised for being such a, I would say like a guy who hasn't been around and wasn't really known to. He stands tall in that locker room, and he'll tell you how it is.
Well, at one point, Ali Marmol was the youngest manager in professional baseball in the minor leagues.
It's amazing. Got to start sometime.
Yep. 3 balls and a strike. Evan Krasinski trying to find the strike zone here to the leadoff walk, and this will help. Double play ball, 4-6-3. Turned by Sosa, and he is smooth at the bag at short. Now the pressure's off a little bit. Get that double play.
There you go. Nice little turn right here.
I know you appreciate defense. I love it too. Ozzie Smith is down here this week. Still gets in uniform, and it looks like he still can pick it because he can.
Still picks it at short and will throw a double play ball over to second without looking.
Yeah, I love it when he does that. But they rave about Sosa. They think he is a big-time defender. And with that, he moves over to the second base side of the bag.
Pitch.
Patrick Mazeika, catcher now for the Mets at the plate. 1 ball and 1 strike with 2 outs and nobody on. That's yanked foul.
Jeez, what a glove. There you go. That's going to leave a mark, Dad. The ball bounced straight off of his palm. That's one of my favorite things about sitting up here.
Well, he's got a glove next to him, but
didn't get it. Oh, it's a son's glove.
Yeah,
didn't get it up there fast enough.
Little chopper, low throw, but handled easily. Let's stretch. Spring training. Take it in, soak in the sunshine, and baseball is back. Theme tickets are on sale now, and they feature new themes and returning favorites, including John Daly Night. I want to get him in the booth. That'll be fun. Friends Night, Star Wars Night, Grateful Dead Night, many more. Full details, full list of dates, visit cardinals.com/theme.
You think that'd be interesting, huh? Get him John Daly in the booth?
I'd love it.
I bet you it'd be more fun if we got him in like the 6th or the 7th than if we got him in the 2nd.
I'd like to play golf with him.
I heard he's amazing to play golf with.
The Ascension Charity Classic is a senior, for lack of a better term, a senior tour event. That's going to be stopping at Norwood Hills this year. and it's a 4-year deal to bring that tour to St. Louis, and
like it.
That's going to be awesome. Jay Delsing, Jay Williamson, St. Louis guys will be in that. John Daly, big Cardinal fan.
I tell you what, I think that the way that the fans came out and watched that event at Belle Reve, I think that might have really put St. Louis on the map for future golf.
No question.
I think the fans were amazing, and from what I hear from the PGA, they were impressed.
Oh, yeah. Here's a Mendo Sosa. New pitcher is Matt Blackham. Split the season between AA and AAA last year. 8-2 is 6 saves, and that's popped foul out of play. The Champions Tour coming to St. Louis. Wonder if our buddy Chris Smith will be doing that too. Ooh. He's a big Cardinal fan. Sosa pops it up, shallow center. Wind will knock that down nearly back to the infield for the first out. Brings in John Nagowski. I'll give you a player. It seems like I'm a broken record, and unfortunately for him, it's been this way, but Alex Reyes.
Yeah.
He's a wild card in this spring training, too.
I'd like to see how Harrison Bader makes adjustments this spring.
Sure.
We all know he can play defense and struggles maybe sometimes laying off the slider. But sometimes a guy like Harrison is almost too quick at the plate. That swing gets too short, and he has trouble lengthening it out, which is staying on breaking balls and hitting pitches down and away. It'll be fun to watch him this spring, too.
1 ball, 1 strike on Nagowski. We saw him make that very fine play at first base. Should be no surprise. He's noted as the best defensive first baseman in the Pacific Coast League. Made a really good play on a pop-up in foul territory.
Sure did. In the wind, too, with the ball going away from him.
Hit .295 last year. 15 home runs and 75 driven in. You talk about his plate discipline. I was visiting with one of the coaches the other day. I said, well, tell me about this guy. And he said, when you watch him, you're just not going to see him chase very often. He only struck out 54 times last year.
And you know what? It's impressive. That's hard to do from the right side. You see a lot of lefties that can be that way.
Hits it sharply to third on a hop. Out number 2. And it brings in Nolan Gorman. Nolan was telling me the other day that you walk in the clubhouse and it's like, wow, that's Yadier Molina. That's Adam Wainwright.
Been like that for 100 years.
Yep. He said, and all of a sudden they start talking to me, and it's amazing.
He looks a little thinner this year, doesn't he?
Yep. Picked up a single first time up. He's got very good power. He grew up with Matthew Libator, and those two are best friends and now in the same organization.
It's amazing.
They're rooming down here together.
Why wouldn't you?
Played Little League, high school, and then off to pro ball, and there they are, Matthew Libator and Nolan Gorman. How cool is that? Pretty neat.
Whoa.
Hits it sharply to first base. That's the second ball he has stung today. We have played 7. We move to the 8th, and a Tyler O'Neill home run, the difference so far. St. Louis Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you in part by Budweiser, Wherever legendary MLB moments happen, Budweiser will be there. We don't mean to rub it in. It's just the shots we get around town.
We don't have any control over this shot.
1-0 Cardinals on a Tyler O'Neill home run. Rob Kaminsky is the new pitcher. Back where it all started for Rob. He was a top draft choice for the Cardinals long time ago. And he was traded away for Brandon Moss.
Oh. Look that throw.
It's Nolan Gorman there at third base.
Cannon right there.
And he signed as a minor league free agent. Rob telling me the other day that John Vooch, who has been in the Cardinal organization for, boy, decades, called him up and said, would you like to come back? And he said, I jumped at it. First opportunity I got to come back to St. Louis. I never wanted to leave. He said, I appreciate what the Indians did for me and being in that organization, but never wanted to leave in the first place and feels like home.
That's awesome. Second chance.
He was the 28th overall pick by the Cardinals in 2013. Compensatory pick when Kyle Loesch was signed by Milwaukee. It's been used as a reliever since the start of 2018 and 17. Reconstructive left elbow surgery, so missed that year and trying to get back on track.
Okay.
Wagner LaGrange at the plate. 2-1 pitch by Rob Kaminsky. Little flare out to center, and that'll drop in. Dylan Carlson is in center field. Now he can play left, center, or right, and he's talked about his journey through the minor leagues.
For me personally, the biggest thing has just been understanding that it's a process, not getting caught up in the results, and living and dying by each and every at bat, being able to just trust myself and trust my coaches and just really be able to stick to the process and understand that it's a marathon, not a sprint.
He is a young man that is beyond his age.
Yep.
And he was coached by his dad growing up in high school. His dad really pushed him and had him with older kids, and he said that was beneficial to his development.
Well, I like that he's so young and he thinks the game already. And he pays attention to what's going on. We talk about watching hitters, watching pitchers, watching the catcher. He already does a little bit of that, and he moves around the outfield, and he plays the game a little bit like a veteran at a young age, and that's something that you want to see because it only gets better.
Where do you like him? I mean, you were a great outfielder, obviously, 8 Gold Gloves. He can play all 3.
Yeah, I don't really know because I think sometimes when you get a guy like that and you have him in right or left, sometimes you kind of, bury his actual talents as what is being athletic and being able to read the game. And what I like to see is a guy just go out there and play any position. Wow, what a play.
Tough way to get it, but they get the out, and it'll go 3-4-3.
Nice hustle by Max Schrock, never giving up. It's a tough play right here at first. The ball eats him up, but Max comes and saves the day. But when a guy like Dylan can run, he can throw, and if he pays attention, there's no reason why he can't play center. But he's got a strong throwing arm, so naturally they want to put him in right. And that's kind of how I got my way through the minor leagues, with having a strong arm and playing right field. And
sure.
You get to some spot like I got to AAA, and they're, AA. Tim Salmon was in the way, so it pushed me over to left, and then I started moving around a lot. And then we had a center fielder who played in the NFL also, and he would disappear from time to time, so they'd throw me in center, and then all of a sudden, next thing I knew, I was a little bit more in center and a little bit more in center, and then got up to the big leagues and had to play right and left because we had a center fielder, and split some time. And then the next thing I know, they handed me the job and said, here you go, good luck.
Don't mess it up.
Yeah, don't mess it up.
1 ball, 1 strike. Jake Magnum at the plate. 1-0 Cardinals lead with 2 outs here in the top of the 8th.
I think the biggest thing that ever helped me early in my career was Marcel Latchman told me, I started off slow my second year, and he said, you keep playing center field like that, I will not take you out of the lineup. So don't let your offense go out there on defense and keep playing as hard as you can, and you'll hit, and I'll keep you in the lineup. And that helped me so much.
Tough play here for Kaminsky, and a throw back to third as the ball gets away, and everybody staying put and safe at first and third.
Tough play right here. This is maybe one you got to eat. You can see he really didn't get.
Ooh, boy, if he makes it.
Yeah, that ball would have gone through or got closer to the bag. He has a chance at third. You can see right there, though, on the mound, when you jump off the mound like that, when you turn to throw, you still got to kind of get your shoulders back square and stand up tall, and kind of got underneath that ball and took off on him.
So the tying run at third, the go-ahead run is at first base. As Rob Kaminsky fires about a 90-mile-an-hour sinker over to first. Boy, it's good to be back. The weather's great, don't get me wrong, but baseball back is just something to it. Especially in our baseball-crazy town. Hit sharply to short. Sosa, what a play.
Wow. The long
what a
way.
play. Takes a hit and a run away from the Mets. He can pick it, folks. 1-0. This season is packed with great promotions. Every year is. And this year, how about the replica jersey giveaways, including Goldschmidt jerseys, adult 1944 jersey, Players Weekend alumni jersey, and more. Tickets to 6 of these great giveaway dates through the 10-game jersey pack, or buy them as a single game ticket. On sale now at Cardinals.com. Justin Williams. Williams came in the third inning as a pinch runner and stayed in the ballgame. It was interesting talking with Justin the other day, and he said, you know, it was on a caravan with him 2 years ago. Very likable young man, soft-spoken. And he said, I'm at the point in my career where I either do or I don't. I'm in my mid-20s. I'm seeing guys that were below me now ahead of me. It was just a very open, honest look at his career. He said, I went and played in Mexico for 6 weeks, trying to stay in shape, trying to make sure I'm ready to go for spring training. And he has put on some weight. He's bigger this year. And he said, but this is the time I got to do it.
Well, you know, last year had to be a huge setback, breaking his hand and coming into a new organization. And I think that it's hard when you sit out that much time and watch people advance and get more comfortable in an organization that you know you're not comfortable in. And it really takes a toll. And I tell you what, there's nothing better in the long run than sitting back and reflecting on everything you've done, being hurt, to propel you to go forward.
Sure. He's played 1 day in the major leagues. Got called up for 1 day with Tampa Bay. And a swing and a miss as he drops to a knee. First out here in the home half of the 8th. Austin Dean, the DH. Struck out his first time up, lone plate appearance. Pitching has been outstanding for the Cardinals today. No runs allowed. All began with Jack Flaherty, 3 strikeouts in 2 innings. Dakota Hudson, 1 strikeout, and everything else ground balls. So the debut of K.K. Kim, Brett Cecil, Kaminsky, and now another lefty is getting loose in the Cardinal pen. The 1-0 pitch to Dean. Andrew Kisner on deck. I know you're like me. I think, and your perspective has changed over the years, and maybe it hasn't. Maybe you like to do this when you were playing in the big leagues, but seeing the young guys that you hear about all summer long and now seeing them in person, seeing how they've changed, the bodies, the makeup, those kind of things.
Giving them a chance to hit against competition here in front of people.
Hit down the right field line. That'll slice foul and out of play in the Cardinal bullpen. And for this being the opener of spring, a big crowd here at Roger Dean. I don't remember a crowd like this big.
Seems like we never open up on a weekend too, right? I feel like it's always like a Wednesday or Thursday.
Opening day this year will be March 26th, and here we are playing baseball on February 22nd. That could be a cold afternoon, partner, in the old Great American Ballpark.
I saw my schedule, and early on in Wrigley, I almost wanted to hide. It's going to be chilly. Do you remember that one time we went to Wrigley when the wind was blowing?
Just thinking that.
It's like I wanted to sit on the floor.
You were under the table trying to avoid the wind coming in off the lake.
I had like 3 jackets on and a vest. And a suit.
And Dean strikes out. I will say this, though. We've had some cold games. But that game in Pittsburgh last year, that was the coldest
when the
ever.
air conditioner was on, and it was 40 degrees outside.
It wasn't 40. It was like 26. And they had the AC on, and they couldn't figure out how to get it off. So we would, between innings, go put our faces up against the glass that had sunshine.
The sun was on the backside.
Right.
The whole stadium was in the shade.
Oh, that was cold.
I tell you what, and I think I've won you over. I think that we probably will do a game with the windows closed at some point this year.
I'm in.
I won you over
I'm
after
in.
4 years.
Absolutely.
I don't care if we sound like if we're in the bathroom or not.
We're in the closet here at Wrigley.
Watching a little monitor.
2 outs and nobody on, and Kisner lifts a fly ball to
We're gonna
right.
have problems here.
Keep running, Andrew. Keep running. You could see that coming. He's on his way to third.
Oh.
And he's standing up.
There's not knowing the wind right here. You see this outfielder turn thinking that it's going to go into right center, but right off the bat, you got to play that ball to blow to the line.
Yep. So the first triple of the season, catcher Andrew Kisner. Another look now at Dylan Carlson. Talked about Dylan's dad. He's probably watching us right now, and his mom too. Very tight-knit family in California. Dylan elected not to participate in the Arizona Fall League. He was scheduled to go there, but he felt like, you know what, I've had a long season, ending it on a strong note in Memphis in those 18 games.
I think that's a smart move.
Just shut it down and get ready for spring training.
Wow. Out.
Line drive into center off the bat of Dylan Carlson, and he drives in his first here in 2020, and it makes it a 2-0 St. Louis lead. A bullet.
You know, sometimes as an athlete, you have to rest. You can't just keep playing, and these guys, that is a missile. And you can't just keep playing year-round and trying to keep on weight and lift. And if you're lifting in the summer to try to maintain, you lift in the winter to try to get bigger and stronger. And it's a different game. And if you play year-round, you don't have that opportunity to get stronger. It's a fine line between winter ball and getting some rest. I think he made a good choice.
There's Jairo Munoz. Dylan Carlson, threat to steal. Undoubtedly, he's at first base. Comes up with a big 2-out hit. And Munoz pops it foul. And it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Tim Trokey, our producer today. He's done a great job, as he always does.
Excellent job.
You work a lot with Tim on the pre and the post game shows.
When he shows up.
You're saying that he doesn't go to work sometimes?
Sometimes.
And then if
He's
he's
got bigger
there,
and better things to do.
is he really mentally locked in like you need him to be?
Yeah, he is. He knows that I'm giving him some grief right here. And hey, there you are.
Yeah, we're locked in.
We're locked in. Watching foul balls going over our head.
Mm-hmm.
Trokey does a nice job.
Here's a 1-2 pitch to Munoz.
Nice.
Right down central. Dylan Carlson with a base hit into center. Drives in his first of spring. 2-0 St. Louis. Take a look at our Budweiser plays of the game. Tyler O'Neill with this home run. His first at bat of the spring made it 1-0 Cardinals. And it's been defense after that. This one saved a run from scoring. Would have tied it up. Outstanding play by Edmundo Sosa, and those are your Budweiser plays of the game. Thank goodness we've got our statistician here, Charles Feaster, helping us out, longtime Cardinal fan. He's been telling you what to say all day long.
It's almost like having a script.
You know. First pitch, take it for a ball. 2-0 St. Louis. The upside on this young man is big. Genesis Cabrera really came on strong at the end of last season. Could find himself in the rotation, the bullpen, you don't know. He has got electric stuff.
Yes, he does.
Really took on an important role at the tail end of last season when the Cardinals were looking for help out of the bullpen, and they got it. Here's a 2-1 pitch. That's hit down the right field line, but yanked foul.
Just a little bit. Should be an out right there, shouldn't it? Caught the ball off the roof of the barbecue area.
Party porch over there.
Cassidy Cool Zone.
2-2 the count. Goodbye. Strikeout for Cabrera. To me, he's a good example of now it's year 2. There's a comfort level here, and you've had a taste of the big leagues. So now you know what it takes a little bit to stay there.
Yeah, and he had to make some adjustments right away, too. Tipping pitches, overthrowing. And that was something that they immediately addressed. And it took him a little while, but you can see just some of these guys that get around a little bit and get a little bit more calm and use their mechanics to get the velocity versus trying to overthrow. You stay around the strike zone a little bit more, and then that's when you start to progress and then really become a big league pitcher.
Edgardo Fermin is the batter for the Mets. 2 balls and no strikes. So home run hit early on by Tyler O'Neill. That was to lead off the second inning. Dylan Carlson with a base hit in the bottom of the 8th, and that's your scoring today. 2-0 St. Louis.
Do any of your boys play baseball?
They're golfers, man.
Yeah. Well, I got a son who's soon to be 14 next week, and he's obsessed all of a sudden with baseball gloves. And he just texted me and said that he's using a 44 glove. Like, I know what he's talking about, but that's just how close he's watching the game, because he's obsessed with these new gloves that this company is called 44.
Where are you going with this?
He's texting me, and that's the first thing he noticed. I was just saying if your kids were obsessed with that kind of stuff like he is. And so I get a text from Lando, and he's like, Dad, look, he's using 44 glove. But I just find it funny at that age, you know. Like when we were kids.
They pick up on everything.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I was like watching everything everyone did, and I just find it funny that that's how he's becoming. And
well, my big thing, I loved Ozzy, so I had to have a trapeze.
Oh yeah, I had one of those until I made an error and I threw it in the stands.
That was the end of that.
That was the end of that. It was in minor leagues too. I was like, don't need this one anymore. It never happening. And that goes to show you anything about how much I cared about defense. I was an A-ball, and I had 2 gloves. And I had an old one, and I got a brand new trapeze from Rawlings. And I was running down the right field corner from right field, and I leaned over to backhand a ball, and it hit that little kind of flat spot in the pocket.
It was the glove's fault.
And the ball shot out of my glove for a double, like an air and a double. And I ran into the dugout, and I flipped the glove up into the stands, and I went down in the tunnel and got my other glove, and I was like, that was it. Never use one of those again.
Never.
If you can think about that, in A-ball, I was 19, and I just tossed it. I was like, that's how much I cared about my defense.
Here's the 0-1, and now 0-2, and the Cardinals a strike away from taking the first in the Grapefruit League. And doing it with a shutout. Cabrera trying to strike out the side.
Oof. Little knee buckler.
He's got good stuff, boy.
You don't like to see that as a hitter.
Nope. This young man, he's exciting. It's good pickup. 1-2 pitch. Slap the other way, and it'll drop.
Right there.
So Braxton Lee extends the ball game, and now the tying run will come to the plate.
That's a good piece of hitting right there by Braxton Lee.
The batter will be David Rodriguez. Cardinals have out-hit the Mets 8-6 in this game, and they lead it 2-0. Again, our next telecast will be Monday here from Roger Dean Stadium against the Marlins.
Me and you, partner.
You got it. Cardinals will be in Port St. Lucie tomorrow. Adam Wainwright will make his spring debut. Adam Wainwright came up in 2005, Yachty in 04, and here we are in 2020, and they're still going. Incredible. Here's a 1-0 pitch by Cabrera. 1 ball and 1 strike. Genesis Cabrera. One
Hit there.
under the glove. And now runners at the corners. And things get a little interesting here.
They always do. They always do at the end in spring training.
Genesis last year was 5-6 at Memphis, 0-2 with the Cardinals. So he appeared in 13 games with St. Louis. And he also appeared on the postseason roster. So that's what you take notice of, is that he was growing as the season went along, and the importance of his role grew too.
Well, and then you get on that postseason roster, you've pretty much impressed everyone you need to impress.
He's pumping strikes. He's just got that live arm, Jimmy. I mean, there are guys, when you watch him throw, it just explodes out of their hand, and he's one of them.
Yeah, and it's that you can see he doesn't really need to be max effort guy, but he does. And when he hones that in, he starts getting ahead more often in the count, it's going to be dangerous.
A ball and a strike. Luke Ritter is the batter. 0 for 1 today. Flied out back in the 8th. So 2 outs and 2 on, and a 2-0 St. Louis lead. The 1-1. 1-2, and again the Mets down to their final strike. Here's a 1-2. And again, he doesn't get the call on that breaking ball. Two. Swing and a miss. He struck him out.
Good
Final 3 outs. Strikeouts for Genesis Cabrera. And a 2-0 St. Louis win.
Wouldn't have it any other way, and then Go figure, a breaking ball would end it with his velocity. But I think another nice job by the Cardinals pitching staff. Look up there and you see zeros up all over the board and just 7 hits. So once again, super impressive job by the pitchers.
2-0 our final. We'll be back to wrap it up from Roger Dean in just a moment.